You ever get that feeling that something's off? Like the ocean's breathing different and everyone's pretending not to notice? That's how it started. One morning, I woke up and realized Gary wasn't in his shell. Just the shell empty. I thought maybe he was hiding again. You know how snails are. But the trails outside my pineapple didn't lead anywhere. They just stopped. The water felt heavier that day, like breathing through jelly. When I got to work, Mr. Krabs was already outside the Krusty Krab, staring at the chum bucket. The lights were on, even though Plankton hadn't opened in months. He looked at me and said, "Don't go near it, boy. Whatever's cooking in there ain't food." I laughed. Mr. Krabs always had a thing about competition. But later, when Squidward came in, even he noticed the smell. Like burnt oil and old metal and something sweet underneath. We didn't serve a single customer that day. No jellyfishers, no bubble bass, not even Sandy. Just silence. When the lights in the chum bucket flickered out that night, the water around it glowed, faint green like chemical jellyfish. And then, the next morning, there were lines outside, fish waiting to get in. I saw Mrs. Puff in line, and Larry, and a few others I'd seen 100 times at the Krusty Krab. They looked hungry, not the good kind of hungry. Their eyes were dull, like someone turned the brightness down. Plankton stood at the door, handing out little metal containers, smiling like a carnival vendor. Every fish who took one went inside. None came out. That night, Mr. Krabs decided we needed to re-establish dominance. He said we'd run a half-off Krabby Patty deal to lure customers back, but the only one who showed up was Patrick. He said everyone in town had gone to try the new special. He laughed, but it didn't sound right. His mouth twitched when he said special, like he didn't choose the word himself. Squidward quit that night, said he was done working for a restaurant in a graveyard. I never saw him again. The next day, the chum bucket had grown. Literally, steel walls stretched across the street, swallowing nearby shops. The sign pulsed like a heartbeat, and from inside came that faint green light. I told Mr. Krabs we should leave town. He just shook his head. "You don't abandon the sea, boy. You learn to float." When I went home, my pineapple was cracked open. Inside, slime on the walls, and my spatula was gone. I followed the slime trail through jellyfish fields, where the jellyfish didn't buzz anymore. They just hovered in the dark, their light dim and flickering. And there, at the far edge of the field, was Sandy's dome, half sunken. The air inside looked thick and gray. Her suit was hanging by the door, empty. A note taped to it said, "It's not mind control, it's hunger." The next part, I don't really remember clearly. I walked back toward town, but the buildings were different, taller, covered in wires and glass, and everywhere I looked, those metal containers, open, empty. When I reached the Krusty Krab, Mr. Krabs was still there, but he wasn't counting money anymore. He was sitting at a table, staring at a single Krabby Patty. It looked wrong, like the patty was breathing. He told me he'd made a deal, said Plankton had promised him eternal customers. Then he looked at me and said, "Guess he kept his word." Outside, I saw them, the townsfolk moving through the streets in groups. Their eyes glowed faint green, their gills pulsing. They weren't speaking, just humming, low and wet. When they saw me, they stopped. Then one of them smiled wide, too wide, and they started walking faster. I ran past the bargain mart, past Goo Lagoon, past the last coral ridge, until I reached the deep trench. You're not supposed to go near it, but when I looked back, all of Bikini Bottom was glowing. The chum bucket's light had spread through the sand, the coral, the water, everything pulsing together. I don't know how long I hid down there. Days, weeks. Sometimes I thought I heard Patrick's voice. Sometimes I thought I heard Squidward's clarinet. Once, I swear I heard the sound of a Krabby Patty sizzling, even though there was no grill, no surface, no sound but the deep rumble of the ocean floor. Now I'm back. I don't know how. Bikini Bottom's quiet again, but nothing grows. No bubbles, no color, no laughter. The Krusty Krab sign lies in the sand. The chum bucket's door is open, just a black hole, humming faintly, and on the counter inside there's a jar, a glass one. Inside it, my spatula, wrapped in seaweed, and next to it, a note in tiny, perfect handwriting. "Thank you for tasting progress." I guess Plankton won, but if you ask me, whatever's in that jar, it isn't him anymore. And if you listen close, real close, you can still hear something cooking. No pun intended. Have you ever seen rain underwater? Yeah, I hadn't either, until that night. It started as a shimmer on the horizon, just past Jellyfish Fields. A flicker, like a mirror catching sunlight from above the surface. But it didn't fade, it grew. By the time I clocked out from the Krusty Krab, the shimmer had spread across the sky. It looked like lightning, only slower, like the ocean itself was rewinding. Mr. Krabs said it was surface junk. Squidward said it was a good excuse to call in sick forever. I laughed because that's what I do. But something in my square little gut said the water was heavier. That night, I watched it move closer from my porch. The current started humming. The whole sea vibrated like a heartbeat inside the deep. Then the storm hit. No wind, no bubbles, no current, just light flashing in waves through every coral street and window. For a few seconds, I swear I could see the surface miles above us, clear as glass. Then everything went dark. When I woke up, Bikini Bottom was silent. Gary's shell sat by my bed, empty. My pineapple smelled like metal. And outside, everyone was standing still. Patrick stood at his rock, grinning at nothing. When I said his name, he turned slowly and whispered, "You hear it too?" At the Krusty Krab, Mr. Krabs was counting blank bills, just white paper. Squidward sat on the curb, puffing into his clarinet. No notes, just air. The glow above us pulsed again, faint and green. That night, I dreamed of bubbles rising toward the surface, each with a face inside. I woke up gasping, ears ringing like the storm had moved into my head. Then came the voices. They didn't talk, they bubbled. Join us, up, surface. When I looked outside, the whole town was walking toward Goo Lagoon, hundreds of them. Eyes pale, steps slow, faces tilted upward. Even Sandy. Her suit leaked small trails of air, but she kept walking, smiling under her helmet. I followed them to the lagoon's edge. The water above shimmered brighter and brighter until it cracked open with a flash of light. Something came down, not a ship, not a creature, just pure glowing energy. It wrapped around everyone. When it faded, they were gone. Just me. The hum stayed. It filled the streets, the coral, my bones. Days passed, maybe hours. The clock stopped. The fryers wouldn't light. Even the jellyfish floated upside down, their tendrils limp. Sometimes the radio played static that almost sounded like laughter. Sometimes I heard Patrick's voice. It's beautiful up here. Once I saw him outside my window, drifting past, his eyes glowing blue. Then one night I felt the pull, like the tide was inside me, tugging upward. When I looked up, the shimmer hung over my house, waiting. It wanted me to look. I tried to think of the Krusty Krab, of normal days, but then I saw shapes in the glow. Patrick, Sandy, Squidward, Mr. Krabs, all floating in the light. Their mouths moved, but only bubbles came out. Join us, you'll float too. It's so bright here, SpongeBob. I couldn't look away. The glow filled my walls, my thoughts, my chest. Every picture, every sponge pore, every bubble lifted. Then blackness. When I woke, I was lying in the middle of Conch Street. Bikini Bottom was gone, just sand stretching forever. No homes, no Krusty Krab, no chum bucket. Only shadows burned into the seafloor like memories that couldn't let go. Above me, the ocean still pulsed with that faint, steady heartbeat. I thought maybe I was dead, until I heard the fryer, a single sizzle far away. I followed it through the dust until I found a lone Krabby Patty resting on the sand, perfect, smiling in ketchup. I reached for it. It crumbled into static, and in the crumbs, I saw my reflection cracked, eyes glowing blue, pulsing with the light. The hum wasn't around me anymore. It was inside me. The storm wasn't weather. It was the ocean trying to wake up, and we were just dreams inside it. Now it's calm again. No one left but me. And sometimes when I laugh, the bubbles float up on their own. I don't need to breathe. I don't need to eat. I don't even need the surface. I am the storm now, and soon you'll hear it too. It started with laughter, not the fun kind, not the belly-aching, bubble-popping, I just flipped a Krabby Patty perfectly kind of laughter. No, this one came from below. I remember the first night clearly. I was closing up the Krusty Krab when I heard it. Muffled chuckles coming from the drain near the fryer. At first I thought it was just grease sizzling, but then I heard it again. A giggle, then another, then a deep rolling laugh that made the whole floor vibrate. I looked under the counter, nothing but crumbs and a half-empty ketchup bottle, but the laugh followed me home. When I got back to my pineapple, Gary wasn't at the door. That was weird. He always greets me with a little meow. Instead, there was that same laugh, echoing faintly from my sink drain. I slept with a sponge knife under my pillow that night. I didn't sleep much. By the next morning, everyone was laughing. Patrick stood by his rock, giggling nonstop, tears running down his face. Squidward was on his porch, laughing through clenched teeth, like he wanted to stop but couldn't. Even Sandy, her laugh came out through her helmet, hollow and wrong like she was choking on it. Mr. Krabs was the only one who wasn't laughing. He locked himself in the Krusty Krab office and nailed the door shut. I banged on it shouting, "What's going on?" He yelled back, voice trembling, "It's the tide, boy! It's back again!" Then silence. I didn't understand what he meant until I saw the ocean floor start to move. Every drain, every pipe, every hole in the ground began to bubble and pulse like something alive was breathing through them. And from each came that laughter. Not hundreds, thousands. They echoed through the streets, mixing into one endless sound. And everyone around me started laughing harder until they fell to their knees, clutching their sides, eyes rolled white. I ran to Sandy's dome. She was gone. Just her suit empty. The air inside shimmered like heat above asphalt. By the time I got back outside, the water was rising. Not up, but out. Thick, murky, swirling like it had been stirred from below. From the center of town, a massive drain had formed where the fountain used to be, spinning slowly. The laughter came from there now, louder, deeper, calling my name, SpongeBob, come laugh with us. I couldn't move. My legs shook like jelly. And then I saw them, faces forming in the water, stretched and bent, smiling so wide they barely looked like faces anymore. Patrick's was the first one I recognized. He looked happy, too happy. Then Squidward, still laughing through tears. Then Mr. Krabs, his claws clapping like cymbals underwater. They all reached up, arms of water stretching toward me, pulling, begging me to laugh too. I ran. The tide chased me through every street, whispering jokes in voices I used to know. Some of them were mine. Everywhere I turned, the laughter got louder, closer, until I couldn't tell if it was them or me. I finally reached my pineapple and slammed the door shut. The walls pulsed, the laughter leaked through the cracks, and I screamed until my sponge lungs hurt. Then, silence. When I opened my eyes, the water was calm again. Bikini Bottom was still. The drains were quiet. For a moment, I thought it was over. Then I looked at my reflection in the mirror. My face was still smiling. I tried to frown, but my mouth didn't listen. I tried to blink, but my eyes just stared back unmoving, unblinking, grinning. And somewhere deep inside, a bubble of laughter started rising. I tried to swallow it. I couldn't. The next day, when I went outside, everyone was back to normal. Mr. Krabs, Squidward, Patrick, all smiling. They waved, cheerful as ever, but none of them spoke. Not one word, just laughter under their breath, soft, constant. And then I realized something. The tide never left. It just moved in. Now sometimes when I stand near the drain at the Krusty Krab, I can hear it humming like it's waiting for a punchline that never ends. And at night, when I close my eyes, the laughter comes back, bubbling up from deep inside me. It doesn't hurt anymore. It feels good, because down here, the ocean doesn't need air. It just needs sound, and we're all laughing now.